always hate it when I follow my wife. This thing on?
Yes, sir.
Yes. We can raise it better. I think we can.
Yeah.
But I follow her anywhere.
Okay. I have one calendar.
All right, when we,
I'm turning left. It is lefty loosey, right? Yes, it is, writing tiny.
hey, you're doing good. Jenny told you we moved to Yulee in 1965. And we loved it because I put carpet in my bathroom and everybody laughed. But we really liked it. In fact, I liked it so much, I extended it from the bathroom all the way up to the house. All right, David Levy Yulee was the first senator from the state of Florida. He built a railroad from Fernandina Beach through Yulee Junction, then on down to Cedar Key. And Yulee was named after him simply because it was Yulee Junction, then it became Yulee. And it's never been a city, never been incorporated. Levy County, Cedar Key, is also named after him. So he was the man who really started everything rolling. When we got to Yulee, there wasn't an awful lot here. 2-lane roads, of course, everywhere. And Jenny and I were on US 17. And we were constantly running outside in the middle of the night because cars were having wrecks. They'd come across that long marsh, and then they'd all of a sudden get to the highlands. And I don't know if it made them sleepy or what, but somehow they always had a wreck in front of our house. And we didn't know what to do with it. We always called the police officers. It wasn't 911 back then, but it was a sheriff's office. But we found out that Yulee was going to lose their rescue. Now, Jenny and I, because of all those accidents that happened, and along with Susie Horn, James Horn, and a few others in the community, we went to become certified medical technicians, CMTs. And then we found out Yulee was getting ready to lose their rescue unit because Florida law had just been passed that said that no unit could run unless there was a certified EMT on board. And there were very few of us in Yulee. It was a volunteer fire department anyhow. Nassau County couldn't afford fire departments and everything. So we had a volunteer fire department and a volunteer rescue. So the ones of us who had taken the EMT course became the volunteers. And there we were, Jenny and I, running a business in Jacksonville with 5 kids, new mortgage on the house. We were helping Yulee Church, and then we were also working rescue 24 hours a day. So I was the first rescue chief. Right. These kind of things are really important to me anyhow because they made me feel real proud. And then, like when Jenny was telling you about the fried chicken along the side of the road, all the people from Georgia knew that it was there, and they all had to come down 17 because we didn't have I-95.
Wow.
And it was their first tailgating. It was the start of tailgating. So they all stopped. There was lines of cars stopped buying fried chicken. Ernestine and Graham and Bob Springer and Mr. Whitaker. And a lot of these early people were all involved. And we really loved it. Well, later on, because there was no buildings in Yulee to have public meetings, I joined the Lion Club. And we didn't have a building at the time. We were meeting wherever we could meet, mostly churches. So I went to Rayonier, and I asked Rayonier if they had any property along one of the roads that they would like to donate to the Lions Club. And we would support Rayonier from you know. And they said, yeah, they had a place down here where the Lions Club is now. But we had to haul something like 43 truckloads of dirt in there to fill it up, to bring it high enough so that it was out of the marsh. That was mostly marshland in there. And we finally built it. We built it big enough for the community use, but the only thing that they use it for is bingo and that kind of stuff. That never has been used for what we built it for. But that was another thing that we did in Yulee. The circumstances back then, I guess most of you knew that Bob Springer. Bob Springer was the principal. He was also a piano player. His stage name was Robin. And somehow I had found a box of blue tape, and I didn't have any use for it. Bob was principal at Yulee Elementary School, so I gave Bob the box of blue tape. I don't know how many of you people were there, but whenever you saw a kid and Bob had bandaged him, he used that blue tape. The kids were walking around with blue tape all over themselves. But Bob was an icon in Yulee. Of course, everybody called him Mayor of Yulee. And we were very, very, very proud of Bob Springer. And Ernestine and Graham Page were the two mentors that we always went to. We also had another mentor, actually a few of them. Cliff Flood, Mary, and Louise Flood. All the Floods were our mentors. And whenever Jenny and I needed any kind of information, we'd call either Miss Flood or Bob Springer. They knew everything that was going on at any time. Any of these buildings that are going up down here, if you want to know who building them, call Miss Flood. She'd know. I don't know how she always found out. But she seemed to stay on the telephone all the time. And she and Bob communicated 4 or 5 times a day. Is there any questions that anybody would like to ask me? I'd be glad to.
I was a teacher at that time. And
You were a teacher.
And the kids loved to go to Bob. If they got a splinter in their finger, you would send them to Bob, and they would come back, and they were like a mummy. They were so wrapped up for just a little splinter in their finger. But they loved to go to Mr. Springer. I think they accidentally hurt themselves so they could go.
Mr. Crady, if you could explain, just describe Crady's Lake when you got there, and then later on, I remember you had Easter. We always had an Easter hunt.
When I was 12 years old, we found out about a place called Hudson Lake. Okay? What they had done, I guess in their early 20s, they had dug a burrow pit by the side of the road to fill in the marshland all the way to Jacksonville. And they used all that sand to build the highway. Well, the river, Nassau River, found an entrance and exit into the lake. And it became a saltwater, freshwater lake. Mr. Hudson decided, because people kept asking him if they could come in and go swimming, he decided that he would let them, and he started charging admission. It was something like 10 cents at the time. And he had a little concession stand there, and you'd pay your admission going in, and then he had a huge, giant 60-foot slide out in the middle of the lake, or actually from the edge of the lake down going into the lake. And on one side, it was 20 feet deep. The other side, you walked around and get on the ladder to climb up to the top of the thing, and you slid down.
My daddy built that ladder.
Your daddy built the ladder there?
He did. I went down there a few times when he was repairing it from all the...
Bless your heart.
damage.
I didn't know that.
And he was good friends with Mr. Hudson.
He also had high dive and low dive. He also had swings. He had rafts anchored out in the middle of the lake. And then he had a kind of a trolley going down off the hill that you sat in, and you skidded when you hit the water. It was really a thrill for a kid to be able to do that. None of it was extra. It was all in the charge of admission. He had 2 locker rooms at the bottom of the pavilion. One side with the boys, one side with the girls. And of course, the boys kept boring holes through you see these little wooden pallets nailed up there. wondered why those wooden pallets were there. Mr. Hudson finally told me what they were. Mr. Hudson finally closed it because of the 60-foot slide. Somebody had dived off the wrong side of the slide. Off the slide. One side you could dive off was 20 feet deep. The other side was shallow. And they evidently hurt their neck or something. And they had that suit, and then somebody went down the slide and hit a lady, and she filed suit. So he said, litigation's too much, I'm closing. So he closed the lake.
Well, what year was that about?
That was, let's see, I graduated in college 53, and I was closed in 53. So he must have run it from
It was in the 40s.
late 40s to mid 50s. Mr. Hudson must have run it those years. And I think it finally got up to a quarter for admission. And I had wanted to buy it because my dad and Mr. Hudson were friends, and my mom and Mrs. Hudson always sat out over the shed, and they always talked and camped the whole afternoon while the kids were playing in the water. But I had wanted to buy it, and after I graduated from college, I came back and I told Mr. Hudson that I wanted to buy it, and he said, well, George, he said, I'll tell you what, he said, I'm getting kind of old. And, well, actually, it was long after I got it. I went to the service before that. So this was about 1960 when I opened my fishing tackle shops in Jacksonville. But I had stayed with Mr. Hudson all those years telling him I would like to buy the lake. And he always very kind and considerate. He never laughed at me anyhow. But after I bought my tackle shops and opened my tackle shops in Jacksonville, I was coming by it at least once a week to go to Georgia or Fernandina Beach to pick up shrimp for the tackle shop. Well, Mr. Hudson passed away. And 6 months later, his wife passed away. And so Jenny and I thought we had lost it forever. His daughter, Lois Davidson, came from New York, and she took it over. And I was always scared to go in and ask her. But one day when I was passing it, going to get shrimp, I saw a for sale sign on the front lawn. And I said, oh my goodness. And I stopped, got the numbers and everything off the for sale sign, went on, got my shrimp, went back, called the real estate people. I'm still afraid of Lois Davidson, I don't know why. But anyhow, I got the information from the real estate people, and Jenny and I borrowed some money, got the down payment. We went and presented Miss Davidson with the money, and she said, I don't think I can sell to you. And I said, why not? She said, well, you got 5 kids, and it's going to be impossible for you to pay for it. And I knew she was probably right. But Jenny and I wanted it so bad, we made an agreement that if we could just have it for 3 months, it would satisfy us, because it takes 3 months to foreclose. So we were willing, and we told her we were willing, and we said, you'll have our down payment, just give us an agreement. So Jenny and I were living in a little place on 2nd Avenue in Jacksonville, and a little tiny cottage with our daughters, and we loved it there too. And we sat by that telephone for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Almost daily, until she finally called and said, I'll take your offer. The reason I believe that it was our offer that she took was because there were very few offers given. It was not listed as Lake Hudson, that everybody knew it by. It was listed as Lake Ludson. Somebody had made a mistake, and nobody knew what Lake Ludson was. And so she finally called 2 weeks later, and we ran out and signed the papers and everything. And I went back to my tackle shop. I started working feverishly, trying to get the money. And luckily, thank God, it happened. And we started improving the business. We finally had the money to make 3 months and make 4 months. Then we finally made the payments, and we finally owned the lake. We opened it up in 1969, I believe, for about 4 years, 69, 70, 71, 72. And we charged a quarter admission for all the kids that wanted to come in. We had, on the weekends, we had maybe 200 people a day. So we were making money enough to help us pay the mortgage at that time. But then again, litigation, somebody wanted to sue. We had a boy, we rebuilt the slide. We built it from the top of the hill down to the bottom. And Ed Campbell and I built the slide. And everybody loved the slide. We made it out of boards, and we put a tin plate all the way down. Then we put water on it, and that water run, and the kids slid down. We had one kid who always wanted to stand up going down the slide board. And I did everything in my power to try to get that kid from doing that. I didn't want to keep him out of the lake. I even built a hoop around the top of the slide, so you'd almost have to, but he'd go beyond the hoop and stand up. He fell off, and he hurt his arm. And his dad came down wanting to sue. And I said, hey, I can see where Mr. Hudson was going. So we finally had to end up closing it up too. But my daughters and my wife and I have enjoyed it immensely ever since.
Was the house there too already?
The house was there. We did build an addition. Lois Davidson built an addition for a big bedroom on one side. Then we built another addition on the back side for a sunroom.
And extended the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Huh?
And extended the kitchen.
And we rebuilt the kitchen, that's right. That was because of termites. We had so many termites we couldn't live with them. So we had to eject them, then we built it a little bit bigger.
So isn't that funny, because I've never heard of Lake Hudson, I always heard Craig's Lake. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, when we opened it up, we knew everybody knew about Lake Hudson. And so we said, you know, we'll call it Crady's Lake Hudson, to let people know it was under different management. So it was Crady's Lake Hudson, and then it became Crady's Lake, and now it's still Crady's Lake. And the canal I found on the geographical maps that they have is called Crady Canal. I didn't realize that until I saw the maps. But now I've got that distinction as well.
Well, just think you lived on the first borrow pit.
You're right. Let me tell you a little bit more about the lake, though. There's a thin layer of silt that comes in every day. Okay? The lake, when we got it, was so deep that I had to hold my breath as long as a kid could hold his breath, to go down, get a handful of mud, bring it up to show the girls that I had touched bottom. Okay? Because it was still 20 to 30 feet deep. Over the years, though, that little tiny layer of silt has built up so that the lake now, in its deepest part, on high tide is only about 8 feet.
Wow.
So we still have a lake, and we still have egress and ingress into the river, but the silt accumulates at a rate of something like 14 inches a year.
Wow.
And over the years, that has increased. So the whole lake is level now on the bottom. And I had one of my co-workers walk across the lake. He was a big, heavy guy. He walked across the lake on low tide one time, and I was amazed because I thought the lake was still deep. Well, it wasn't.
So if anybody knows how to get the dirt, the silt out of the lake,
I
sure would
have.
appreciate
It's very
you.
expensive.
Yeah.
It was a blessing, though, because with that mud, I could see my daughters. I had 6 daughters then. All of my daughters would come up to the house, and they would be completely soaked in
And
mud.
baths.
And look how beautiful they
They
did.
did it on purpose, though. They did mud baths.
That was mud path.
Mud pack, body pack, whatever you want to call it. One other thing we used to have, and I think we invented it, we called them shaving cream fights.
Oh, God.
And we put a sign out front saying Saturday is our shaving cream day. And we hand out bottles, cans of shaving cream to everybody who came. and they could spray anybody they wanted to unless they were clothed. And they'd be completely white, and then they go in the lake and wash it all off.
Completely muddy.
We've had a lot of fun there at the lake,
Yeah.
and we really appreciate it. Thank God we've had it.
Yeah.
Used to have Easter parties there.
You want me to play